Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the special
Another
episode of
BTB.
2 Minute Drill. My name is Omar. Next to me is Max. Below me is Earl, and we are here to talk about the Miami Heat. One of the one teams. I think there's like one, two, or three teams actually that really didn't make much moves this offseason. Miami Heat are one of the few that haven't, and honestly needed a move desperately. So we're here to kind of see where they lie in the Eastern Conference, where they can kind of stack up against these super teams. What's going on? What do we think?
I think it's going to be I think it is difficult for it's going to be difficult for the Heat to really be a top team in the East this year. I think back to the years where obviously they did make the finals, they did go on two great finals runs and win the East in 2020 and 2023. Both of those years, the core is the same. It's still Jimmy Butler, it's still Tyler Hero, it's still Bam Adebayo. I trust those guys. Provided they're healthy, I still think those three should be able to do their thing in the playoffs. Obviously, they didn't even need Hero really for 2023. But the thing that the Heat's success has always hinged on is these kind of role bench players outperforming what we would think that they're capable of. Think back to 23. Nobody coming into the season thought Max Strus was going to be an impactful player. No one thought Caleb Martin was going to be an impactful player. No one thought Gabe Vincent was going to be an impactful player. But I mean, come playoff time, they look like legitimate starter level NBA players, like good rotation guys that can give you great playoff minutes. And they did a fantastic job. So I think that Heat have always kind of relied on those bench guys. I think 2020 was the same. I can't pin down the names as much, but they're very much a team that takes guys who aren't really on other teams' radars and develops them. So if they have guys on their roster like that can do that this year, I think they'll have a shot. Like, I'm not going to count out that core. They've done it before, but it's really, for me, the other guys, if they can get guys like Khalil Ware, like a Terry Rozier, to step up and play above what we think they're capable of, then they could contend. But if not, like, all those pieces have to fall into place, and I think that could be a little difficult.
Yeah. No,
I
definitely.
just Go for it. Sorry,
No,
sorry,
no,
sorry.
no. You good? You good?
I just realized this really fucking weird trend just now. You mentioned Gabe Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
There's another person just like him who is on the team that he's currently on now and was riddled with injuries. Um, what is going on with point guards from Miami going to Los Angeles and then getting injured? Gabe Vincent and then Kendrick Nunn. What is going on, Earl? Tell me. What is
Um,
this?
This is definitely a popular conversation that we're not a fan of in the Lakers community.
I
I
haven't
don't know,
heard
man.
that.
We talk about this probably once a month. Like, it's just crazy how they just leave
Well,
the
Kendrick Nunn
balance.
was that bad.
Yes, he was horrible.
Dude, it's
I
like
used to
the
be a believer
Lakers
in
point
Kendrick
guard
Nunn. I actually thought he was
rotation.
quite good.
No,
Kendrick Nunn barely
um,
played. He barely
In
played.
Miami, he was good though. Like, I thought he was a
Yeah,
good
that's what
player.
I'm
yeah, he
saying.
was
And
good,
in
but
Miami,
he got
Gabe
hurt.
Vincent was good.
He was good. Then he got hurt. We paid him a lot of money. He got hurt. Didn't really play. When he did play, wasn't up to
Yeah.
anything near expectations. But like to
I
answer
think
your
similar
question.
to Max Strus as well. I mean, he didn't have a bad year last year by any means with the Cavs, but I don't think he was quite maybe what they were hoping for. He didn't look like the Max
Better.
Strus of the playoffs. Certainly
Oh
not
no, for
last year.
sure. Now, but what I would say about the Heat is, I think, like you said, they have their core, but for me, I think it all depends on Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butler is going to take that team as far as they can go. We've seen how they react when he goes down. Um, Bam
Yeah, it's not.
Adebayo, he's a great player. He's not like the main guy. And don't crush me for saying that, Heat fans. I just basing my reactions off of what I've seen the last 2 years. Like he has to learn how to develop his game, get a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end in order to be that guy. Tyler Hero as well. He got a little bit injured. That had problems. I think Terry Rozier had injury problems as well a little bit last year. So I don't know. I just think with the way the East is trending, there's a lot of really, really great teams in the East now. And it's gonna be hard for those guys to compete. Like I'm thinking about like the Bucks. Like the Bucks look good. Bobby Portis look locked in. Giannis, Dame, those guys. I mean, when they're hot, they really only need one of those guys to be hot. And if they're both hot, plus your bench unit and Brook Lopez, I mean, what more can you do? You got the 76ers out there. You have the Knicks. Like it's a lot of crazy good teams. You have the Magic now, or a team to have that type of conversation with. So I just think in the year where the East got really, really good, the Heat stayed almost exactly the same, if not the same. Only difference
Other
being
than Khalil Ware, I can't really think of anything they added.
true,
Yeah,
exactly. And Khalil
literally.
Ware, that was a great move. I think that was a great draft pick. It's a guy that we kind of wanted, but the Heat obviously picked him before us. But yeah, I think the Heat just have to figure things out. I think it's going to be, I don't know if I can predict what the Heat are going to do this season because obviously you never know with basketball. Basketball is really just a big mystery. We can talk numbers, stats, papers, who fits where, but we never really know what's going to happen until those games are being played and see how guys look with chemistry. Because we could argue, like we said last week, we could argue that maybe they're a good team, that maybe they have really good success because they've been together and other teams have to figure out how to work better together. That could be argument as well. So, but for me, I think the Heat, it's going to be tough if they're not locked in every single night. Like they can't mess up. That's my thoughts on the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's say the Heat go through the season. They go through another failure, pretty much. They don't reach where they're supposed to. They don't even compete on the level that they think they can compete
Real
at.
quick though, what do we think that is? Like, what do we think that point is for the Heat this year, where they're like, if they make it this far, it was a good enough season to where they're going to keep the core together and run it.
That's what I'm saying. Let's say they make it back to. Let's say their goal is to make it to at least the semis, minimum.
Okay.
Let's say that minimum because they haven't even been anywhere near to the finals in a couple of years. I want to say
They made the finals 2 years ago.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That is a couple. 2 years ago is a couple.
Okay, but it's only been one season.
True
enough. Yeah, but still, they want
from the finals as the Nuggets.
I would okay then maybe the Eastern Conference Finals should be their goal then. But then,
well, I mean, I don't agree with the fact, like you said, like they haven't sniffed the finals like they did, but I do think that like their expectations have to be tapered now. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if the
conference
finals is realistic for this team. I mean, they always believe in themselves. That's Heat culture. They think they can win the finals every year. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is like the conference finals minimum. But like
Heat culture,
if they get bounced in the first round, if they're like a 7 or 8 seed and get bounced in the first round with a basically healthy team, is that enough to where Pat Riley's like, this has run its course?
Yes, I was gonna say my opinion on that is yes, and I think at that point, what is the next move for like Jimmy Butler? Like, where does he go? Where does he fit?
yeah.
Where is his style play going to be beneficial to a team that can build around him?
And well, I don't really think they can build around him. He's got to go somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to.
That gets added.
That's exactly what I'm getting to. And the answer is you can't build around him because he's so injury prone. And on top of the fact, I know people are going to grill me for this. Miami Heat fans, take a chill pill. But God damn it, man, if you're not playing during the regular season, what are you doing with your life? You're getting paid millions to do nothing. Like, my God.
I feel like injuries are injuries, though. Like
that's unavoidable. But I mean,
it's just, I don't know. I will say I don't think Jimmy Butler's the type of guy to not play because he doesn't want to play. He, like, shout out to starting five. I'm watching a little bit and just watching the process that he goes through, like the way he takes care of his body. It hurts him not to be out there on the floor. Like, all he cares about is basketball. Like, that's his life. He kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant in that aspect. Like, they love basketball. Only difference is Jimmy Butler has a family and stuff like that, obviously. Kevin Durant solo by choice. Cool with him. But yeah, he doesn't seem like a guy who's running away from the moment. Like, he wants to win, he wants to compete. But then again, like, your body is your body. Like, you can put the best preventive measures to your body and your body can still fail because of like a freak accident. So I don't think it's like he doesn't want to be out there type of situation. I think it's like, dang,
they gotta chill out. They gotta chill out on him and putting the weight on him.
Like he even talked about like injury. He said like if he can play, he's gonna play through as much as he can play through. Like there's like one game where he talked about like he basically rolled his ankle like 2 or 3 times. He still played that whole game and won the game. But like some injuries, like it's your body, you can't avoid not playing games. So.
Yeah. I do think that he's definitely not. I think he's one of those few players that is very intentional with how hard he goes during the regular season and at what times he is going at 100%. And as he gets older, I would imagine that number of regular season games, at least where you're getting like a truly locked in Jimmy Butler, he's probably going to diminish. I do think come playoff time, he's ready. He does this for a reason. It's so he can. There's a reason why playoff Jimmy is a thing. Like he takes care of himself during the season. He still plays, but maybe he's not at 100% every night. He's at an 80 or a 90. so that when he gets the playoffs, he can crank it up to 100 and he's there and he can help you win, which is great if you're a team that's in a position to make the playoffs comfortably and have a good seed and you can kind of Jimmy can coast the regular season. That's great. But can the Heat afford for Jimmy to not go 100%? Because if he doesn't, the Heat aren't, I don't think, a strong enough team to where they can win 90% of their or 80% of their regular season games without everyone being locked in. So maybe, sure, Jimmy kind of coasts this season, but then you get to the playoffs and you're an 8 seed and you're going against Boston, or you're a 17, you're going against New York or Philly or Milwaukee. And then it's like, sure, you've got Butler and he's ready to go, but like now you've kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. I mean,
good point.
Jimmy is a special case because, again, we talk about how good of a player he is, but at the same time, his unavailability kind of affects him. And that's what teams kind of shy away from when talking about Jimmy Butler. Not that they necessarily do that, but like disdain to the name, if you know what I mean. But it's hard, man. It's really hard. Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say the Heat go through this season. They don't get where they're supposed to go. They fall out of the playoffs completely. They are not the team they think they are. Where are they? Where does Jimmy Butler go? Do they break up everything, trading Bam Adebayo away? And maybe Khalil Ware has a breakout season in better ways that we think, and he's going to be the new centerpiece that they build around. Like, I'm just throwing ideas out here.
Yeah. I think Butler would be the first to go. I'd imagine they'd have to move on from him. I think Bam and Hero, depending on how good of a season they have. I mean, I think Bam, he just signed an extension. I'd like to think that they want Bam there for the long run, even if they do take a more rebuilding direction. But you never know. I mean, like I said, if Khalil Ware really shows that he's him and the Heat really want to just kind of blow things up, you could get a lot for Bam Adebayo. And maybe it's the thinking that, it's just a positional thing. You don't want him and Ware out there at the same time. So why not trade Bam, let Jimmy walk or trade him for like minimum, trade Bam, get a good return for him. Let Khalil Ware be the actual center. Keep Tyler Hero for spacing, let's just say. And then you have those pieces to kind of retool. But I don't think that would necessarily put them in a great spot. Like, I don't think they have a ton of draft capital. They don't really have.
I feel like they're being this middle limbo.
I don't really think. But
they're not really a type of team to fully go into a rebuild. They're more like a retool organization.
That's true. I mean, they kind of did retool throughout after the LeBron era for like 5 years. They kind of just retooled and found themselves with a really good team. So, and again, they draft as good, if not better, than any other team in the NBA. So they could turn their second round picks into borderline starters. They've done it before. So
their development program and
more than a lot of teams.
Yeah, I mean, we all can agree. Like, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Miami Heat end up doing this season. And a lot of fans out there, either you're rooting for them or you're rooting against them. All I know is that apparently Heat culture is a thing, and it can will through any situation on the court.
Yeah. It reminds me of Golden State a little bit, where this kind of feels like the last ride with this core. I mean, Golden State already kind of broke their core up now that Clay's gone, but they're just in this weird flux of like, maybe they're good enough. Maybe they are good enough to go back to the conference finals. Like, at this point, wouldn't shock me. Mm-hmm. Everything falls into place and they're a contender. But they have an incredibly high ceiling, but they also have a really low floor of like,
it's like saying the Clippers are a contender now with just Kawhi Leonard.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be rough, and they could wind up, like Omar said, dropping out of the
playoffs and kick them out the playoffs.
I didn't even talk about the Lakers. I was talking about the Clippers. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was saying they're probably going to end up like the Clippers, man. I mean, do we think the Clippers are true contenders anymore? Anybody
I never thought they were true contenders.
So fair. Right, well, I don't know. When they were winning,
they were
right after after that Harden trade last year, they were winning like 9 out of 10 games. I forget what side. Yeah,
they were pretty good.
They were. We forget
every year in the playoffs though.
On the show.
They feared them. They feared the Clippers. But I could never expect
after what Luka did to them.
Yeah.
The first time. Oh, we got him. This kid can't beat us. Oh, let's just give up on the series.
I mean, they were a different team. That team didn't have Harden.
That kid.
They had Harden on that team. It would have been different.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, that Clippers culture is really something, I gotta say.
Yeah, but I agree. I think it does remind me of the Clippers. Like, if Jimmy leaves next year, or they trade Bam, or they trade Hero, really where they're really nowhere. Like And again, the Heat, like I think Earl, you said, like they're more of a team to retool. I don't know what retooling would look like with this team.
Yeah.
Like, I think that has all the makings of like another 5 years of mid. Maybe not. Maybe they can just trade Jimmy for something with someone else good and get a really good fit, and bam, they're back to being contenders. But it's tough. I mean, all these other teams made big moves. Knicks went and got Cat and Bridges. 76ers got Paul George of all people. The Celtics, well, they didn't have to make moves. They already have a super team. So it's tough for a team like Miami, but I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to be the person who counts Miami out before the season and then has to eat his words when they make the conference finals. I'm not doing that. I'm saying it's possible. Yeah. I think a lot has to fall into place, though. It's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, it's going to have to be really tough for them. I think everybody's going to have to be healthy this season. I think I think a really strong factor in it, and a lot of people are not going to like it, and I think like a strong regular season would help them to solidify that. If they can show that like they're a healthy team 100% of the time, and they can show that they can get to business and get to work 100% of the time, I don't see a team that they can beat. The only thing that's really holding them back is their availability, truthfully. So when you combine everything, and then you combine the fact that like, I mean, look, I'm kind of giving Jimmy Butler a pass. I mean, losing family is a different story. I'm not going to talk about that because I've never experienced it like that. But he didn't play well either. I mean, he didn't play much this season. But I mean, to his own, you know, whatever. But I can't say anything against that. But
he played good. I think
I mean, he played all right, but he wasn't there for his team like that. But I mean, he had to be there for himself. So I can't say.
I think
anything.
the only time he wasn't there, honestly, was just when he got injured a little bit. That I feel like, but for the most part, when he was on the court, he contributed well for that Miami Heat team. I think it was just those injuries because he only played. I mean, he played 60 games this year, so he missed what, like 22 pivotal games. So that definitely hurts the team as far as winning, because we talked about it before. Like, this is a team that thrives well with Jimmy Butler at the core, and if you don't have Jimmy Butler, it's hard to replace that type of production, what he does on both ends of the floor. So not having him, it sucks. So yeah, I'll just say that about Jimmy and that whole process and stuff like that as well.
So real quick, 2 more minutes. I want to get this done. Let's say everything goes well for the Miami Heat. They overachieve, but they don't win the finals. Do you guys think that they have to make another move to make sure that they can make the finals? Or do you guys think they could stick to it and keep going?
I think
that's tough. I mean, it depends how close they get, right? I mean, if they make a run of the conference finals, even if maybe they get swept by Boston, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you make it to the conference finals, it's tough to blow off a team unless you're Minnesota, apparently. But
not anymore.
I think a conference finals run, they probably run it back. A good semifinals run, if they push a team to 6 or 7, they'd probably run it back. I think anything short of a good semifinals. If they get first rounded, they're done. If they squeak through the first round and make the second round and get decimated by a top team, I think Pat Riley's going to want to see some shake up there, and probably it is retooling. But I would imagine Butler is the first pillar to fall. Maybe Hero. Maybe we're just overestimating Tyler Hero's job security. I mean, he's the youngest guy on that team, so I would imagine naturally they would want to keep him the most.
I mean, hey, they were trying to get Dame with him, so
maybe he's the guy they trade. Maybe he's got the most value, and they say, you know what, we'll get someone else for him, and we'll keep Butler and Bam.
Yeah, I think they can get a lot of value out of Tyler Hero. Maybe they can get players that can actually help them and play really well. I think Tyler Hero is a great player, but I don't know if he fits well with that. I mean, he does, but it's a little, I don't know.
At some point, you have to change something.
Yeah. It's probably going to be him. They already threw him in packages with Duncan Robinson and everything. We heard the reports over and over again. The Portland Trailblazers didn't want to make because it was a bad deal, yada, yada, yada. So
that's true. Hero was at the forefront of those trades. So maybe he'll be the domino to fall if things don't go well.
But I think we can end it off here, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of 2 Minute Drill. And we'll hit you guys next week. And be here, be square, and subscribe. Hit the podcast, hit the like button, hit everything that you guys like. And if you guys want to see more stuff like this, comment and be awesome. And we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Always be awesome.